Hello, and good day. God bless each of you this morning as we prepare to share this lesson and to share some things to you about the upcoming season of Lent, as well as activities at the St. Luke Church, and of course, a simple, if you would, quick review of the Sunday school lesson. God bless you. Good to see you there, each of you, and I'm praying for you and, of course, for your families. Let me go ahead and get into some things here. Of course, our district Sunday school, I believe Pastor Dr. Deborah Coleman will be doing the teaching on tomorrow there. Dr. Deborah Coleman will be doing the teaching. And on next Sunday, the second Sunday, I will be doing the teaching. So you know the numbers, you know the meeting ID, and let's tune in and join in and be a part of that great lesson there. This week, as a part of the Lenten annual Lenten season series, the Williams Memorial Church does a Lenten study. So far, they've had two excellent presenters, Dr. Larry Anders, Bishop Othel Lakey, and going forward, starting again this Wednesday, the teachers, the presenters will be Reverend Dr. Deborah Coleman. The following Wednesday will be Reverend Donna Brooks. The following week will be Bishop Sylvester Williams, the bishop of the the third Episcopal district, covering the states of I believe, Illinois, Wisconsin, and I believe Indiana. No, not Indiana, but the third Episcopal district, Missouri, there. So we certainly look forward to sharing with Dr. Sylvester Williams. And then on the 29th, the host pastor himself, Pastor Charles LeSure, will be doing the teaching for that. There you see the meeting ID and you see the pass code. Williams Memorial every Wednesday at noon. Every Wednesday at noon leading up to Lent. I was on this past week. Excellent lesson by Bishop Lakey, and I believe that you will be blessed if you tune in as well. The March birthdays, Peaches, Rosetta Strickland there, Willie Ned Jr., Reverend Donnie Ned, thank you so much for your continued support and watching us every Sunday. Sierra Thomas there, Quincy Morgan, Sergeant Major Darrell Harris, Jan Ned, and Marjorie Bale. God bless you, Miss Bale, and we're certainly continuing to pray for your husband's recovery and praying for other family members as well. Yes, now our in-person worship and virtual. Tomorrow is Communion Sunday, as you know, and so we look forward to seeing you in the building. And if necessary, online, that is fine. To remind you, it has been 3 years. It has been 3 years since we have been in a alternative, if you would, worship style, scaled down. But I love the worship pattern as it is, and have it down to a science. And we're in and out in an hour, 15 minutes. I would love to see you in the building. There's plenty of room, and we've taken every necessary precaution. I want to see you in the building. If you're unable to come, please make sure that you're tuning in to our YouTube or Facebook Live. And here's what I need you to do. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Each time you watch a video, I need you to like. And if you're not a subscribed member of the page, either one, make sure that you subscribe so that what will happen is every time, and then hit the notifications bell so that to your device, whatever you watch or view these videos on, every time I go live, it will come automatically to you, and then you can watch it at your leisure. Just like last week, I did not text the messages out, but they'll always be posted online. So please make sure that you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell so that you'll be able to get it. You'll know that it's on your phone, it's on your device, on your computer, and you can watch it at your leisure once I go live and have gone live every Saturday at some point between noon and usually at about 3 o'clock. Now, this week's lesson is Luke chapter 15. Everybody knows this as the prodigal son. Everybody knows this story. This is the story of the son who left home, but it is also about God's forgiveness. It is also about God's propensity to show love, even when we have abandoned him. The good news is God does not abandon us, but sometimes we abandon God. This is the story of the prodigal son. Luke chapter 15 opens with this scene. He's surrounded by sinners, and it is sinners who are eager to hear the words of Jesus. Jesus is a revolutionary counterculture at the time. And in this scene, Jesus welcomed his listeners to dine with him. But in contrast to this group of sinners stood the group of the law, the legal experts, the Pharisees and the scribes. Pharisees, and they grumbled against Jesus. They said he dines with sinners and with wine bibbers and with prostitutes and with the unseemly sort. The legal experts of the day, they implied that Jesus was so unworthy of following because of who he associated with and because they were sinners, instead of banishing them as unclean and therefore not right with God. Jesus becomes a different type, a different paradigm of leadership where he embraces the lost, the left out, and even the left behind. That's why the version of Christianity that I believe that most of us in the African American culture have learned to embrace is the understanding that God loves everybody, that God not only loves the rich and or the famous or the powerful or the influential or the affluent. God cares about us all in whatever state we're in, because God knows, Jesus knows, that once he is embraced, then he will do the changing and you will do the changing. That's why we say, I came to Jesus as I was. It is then that we change. Jesus told 3 parables with one common thread. We must never let life's obstacles make us lose sight of what really holds true value. You know the parable of the lost sheep. That's the first story he tells. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one. Doesn't he leave the 99 in the open country, go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And then when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders, goes home, calls his friends and neighbors and said, rejoice with me, for I found my sheep that was lost, my child, my whatever it was lost, but now it's been found. I tell you that in the same way, there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need repentance. Yes. Or he goes to this one. Suppose this woman has 10 silver coins, loses one, a necklace, something valuable to her. She lights the lamp, sweeps the house, looks under the bed, searches diligently, looks everywhere until she finds it. Man, look at this. Aren't you glad God found you in some places where you were lost and nobody else was even looking for you? And when she finds it, she calls her friends, neighbors together and says, rejoice with me, for I found my lost coin. Look at this common thread. She tells somebody about her discovery of what had been lost. In the same way, I tell you, there's rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Yes. But now let's get to the prodigal son. Everybody knows this story. Everybody's familiar with it, but let's see if we can find some nuggets that will help us see the prodigal in who we are. Jesus continued, verse 11 says, there was a man who had 2 sons. In fact, one text says there was a certain man. The younger one had said to his father, give me my share of the estate. In other words, once the Jewish boy became of age, he could ask for what was his and set off on his own. And so he divided his property between them. He gave his son his share because there was an elder son who would receive his share. And he said, you're welcome to have it. Now, sometimes you got to be careful for what you ask for, because what you ask for, you might not be ready for. Oh my God, that's a word for somebody right there. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a far country, a distant country, and there he squandered he wasted his wealth. Listen to me now. What his father had worked hard for, taking him years to build, not long after that, he set off for a distant country, and while he was there, he threw it all away. After he had spent everything, I'm sure that he had given him some of his best animals. He had given him some of the best jewelry. He had given him whatever it was that he could use to barter with and to share with as currency. After all that was gone, look at what it says. There was a famine in the land, and he began to be in need. He had been at his father's house where he had plenty, but now, after he had been broken and lost what he had, a famine, a depression came, and he began to be in need. So watch this. The word says he went and basically indentured himself almost as a slave and hired himself out to a citizen of that country who sent him to the fields to feed the pigs. Listen to this now. Here was a Jewish boy who now has to take the lowest job he could find to feed himself. He has to take the lowest, most disgusting. I can imagine on a daily basis how sickening this boy was. Well, here he is out there doing something that was so counter to his upbringing and so counter to how he had been taught and raised. You do understand that many people who are facing life's problems and difficulties, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's whatever habit it is, or whatever place they're in, it is counter to what they have believed. So they're hurting. And here this brother is, he's hurting. That's why you got to be careful. We judge the prodigal son, but how many of us, yes, how many of us have found ourselves hitting rock bottom? But notice this, he longed to fill his stomach with the pods, the corn stalks, the husks that the pigs were eating. But nobody gave him anything. Oh my God, isn't that something? He longed, he was so hungry. But when he came to himself, he had an epiphany. He said, my father's hired servants have food to spare, but I'm starving to death. I've got to go back to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. I don't even need to be called your son. Look at what it says. When he was at home, he couldn't see the hog pen. But man, when he got in that hog pen, all he could see was home. My God. He says, I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. So he got up, went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him, was filled with compassion. Listen to me now. And in this day, old men didn't run, but he ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son he started telling his speech, I've sinned against you, Father. I'm not even worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, hurry, go get the best robe, put it on him. I know he's dirty. I know he's filthy. I know he hasn't bathed. I know his hands are dirty, but go put a ring on his finger. I know he's barefooted. Put some sandals on his feet. Yes, because this is my son. Look at what he says. He comes home. I'd imagine he's terribly. He hasn't shaven. He has not bathed. He is reeking. But aren't you glad God takes us in whatever condition he finds us in? Go get a good robe. Put it on him. Put a ring on his finger to show that he's back in the family. Put shoes on the feet to show that he's protected. But then go get the calf that we've been saving for a special occasion. Maybe they have been preparing for a festival. Maybe they've been preparing for a wedding feast. Maybe they've been just preparing for one of the family gatherings. But he says, go get it, kill it, and let's have a feast and celebrate for this son of mine. He asked to be what? A hired servant. But he says, this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. I like this right here. There's so much richness in this story. And you've got to understand that, first of all, God still loves you regardless of what it is you've done. God still will welcome you back regardless of what you've done. And the truth of the matter is, you can always go back. They always say that you can't go home again, or there's no place like home. But the truth is, when our home is with God, you have a place to go. God bless you. What a great word. What a great lesson for us to learn. Oh, tomorrow I'm going to talk from Mark chapter 4. Mark chapter 4. And I'm going to raise a question. What are you going to do in your storm? Everybody here has been in a storm before. But what are you going to do in the storm? I just like this text, and I just think God has a word for us. I just believe God has a word for us. So, God bless you, and God keep you. It's certainly my prayer. Thank God for you. Look forward to seeing you in the morning. God bless you today. Take care.